G'day guys, Markee here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. I do hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if you do, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and if you're feeling saucy, hit the bell notification so you don't miss an upload. With that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie, let's get right into it. Cheers. Posted by user GlobalBroccoli9670, titled, "Am I the asshole for breaking up with my fiance after he insisted on me forgiving my bio dad?" So basically, I, 28 female now, and my twin brother Leo, 28 male, were raised by my mother alone in our childhood. She was married to my dad, but divorced when she found out that he was cheating, and he just disappeared and didn't even pay child support when we were 4 years old. My mum raised us alone. She grew up with abusive parents. She was a teacher and did her best to take care of us, and she was, and still is, simply the best mum that you could have asked for. Never abusive or unfair, never showed any favoritism, she was always interested in us and was the perfect combination of a fun but responsible parent. As a result, my brother and I decided to do our best to not generate any problems for her. We did our best in school and didn't cause any troubles and did all of our chores. My mom started dating our stepdad Carlos, who was our high school sweetheart when we were 11, and this guy was always the father that we never had and loved us like his own. They also had our little sister Virginia, and we've been a big happy family. Now, our dads tried to reach us several times, but after a few disappointments, Leo and I decided to cut him off and appreciate that we have a great man like Carlos in our lives, who swore to us that he would never go away. Back to the present, I had been dating my now ex-fiancé Jonathan, 30 male, for 3 years. We've been engaged for a couple of months and living together, and everything seemed perfect, except for one thing. He sometimes would try to get me to forgive my father and to invite him to our wedding. He knows everything that happened, but he's still insisting on the fact that he's family and that I should forgive him. But I draw the line when he invited his parents and tried to make an intervention. I had to hold in my anger as I heard all their bullshit, and I was about to snap, but I forced myself to calm down. I just simply took off my ring, left it at the table, and said that we were done for good. They were all in shock, and I stood up, grabbed my phone, and called my ex-boyfriend from high school, Lucas, 28 male, and explained what happened to him, and asked for some help to go back to my hometown. Lucas and I dated for 4 years, from 14 to 18, and broke up due to distance. We were friends since we were 6 years old, so he was with me throughout all the disappointments that my bio dad gave me. We're still friends and see each other when we go back home, and often call each other. He was angry and told me he'd be there right away. The town's only an hour away from the city I was living in. I started to pack my stuff while him and his parents kept trying to make me change my mind. But I just ignored and called my mum and brother to tell them the wedding was off and that I would be going back home for a while. They kept on telling me that I was exaggerating, that I was choosing wrong, but I just packed everything that I own and Lucas showed up pretty quick. Of course, my ex-fiancé was mad that I'd called my ex-boyfriend, but I didn't care, and Lucas and I just went back home. Luckily, I work from home, so I don't have any problem moving whenever I want, as I can work from anywhere. I decided to let all my close circle know what happened right away, and they're all on my side. I arrived to my hometown, and my stepdad, mum, and little sister received me with a lot of love, and they told me that I needed to do what felt right and to not force myself to get myself in marriage if my fiancé can't even respect my boundaries and invalidates my feelings. Lucas said that I deserve someone better and to try to focus on moving on. However, Jonathan's friends and family are still berating me for breaking up with him in front of his parents and leaving with my ex just like that. But in my defense, he didn't give me a choice. Part of me is thinking they're only doing it because they're his family and friends, but part of me is starting to believe that maybe, yeah, I did handle things wrong. I don't regret breaking up with him, it hurts, but it just feels better like this. Maybe I was too harsh, but I don't know. Am I the asshole? In the comments, Throw Ray Rose Color says, "Not the asshole. You handled that amazingly, and I wish I had your backbone. How dare he say he was embarrassed when he and his parents got together to pressure you to do something you didn't want to do? Let it be a lesson to him and his friends and family. Don't bully the person that you say you love." I don't like how the fiancé keeps getting his family to gang up on OP. First, he keeps hassling her about her bio dad, then gets his family involved, and now they're all ganging up on her about the breakup. None of them have any boundaries, and it's kinda creepy. OP's ex-fiancé needs to marry OP's ex-father so they can be family together. Not the asshole. You are 28 years old and have had plenty of time to make this decision. You already have a perfectly wonderful father figure, and the right man will respect your wishes on this. I also low-key feel like you dodged a bullet. Did he plan to call mummy and daddy for backup every time you weren't doing what he wanted? I want to know why this family is so insistent on a cheater being forgiven. I'd be incredibly suspicious of that. I had an abusive parent that I cut off. I've had so many friends and partners who just don't get it, who insist, but they're family, you have to forgive. My ex-BFF in college was reporting everything I did to my abusive parents. I just want to help you. Your parents love you and are worried. I've learnt to stay away from people who insist on reunification more than once. They never stop because they have no bloody clue what a bad family is. They can't comprehend it, and they will keep pushing until they get the Disney reunion they want. Because they truly don't believe that family could ever do something so awful, and you must be exaggerating or misunderstand. Some of them don't know, but some of them know and are just enabling this. Cheaters enable cheaters, abusers enable abusers. In situations like yours or like OP, I would always ask if they're ignorant or enablers. I think there's a bit of a duality there when it comes to friends that are doing it. Those people are easier to cut off or yell at and be like, what the hell's wrong with you? Are you ignorant or are you malicious? But when it's your own fiancé, they should know better. They should know what the situation is if they've gotten to the point of being your fiancé, and if they're still pushing that on you, I think it's fair enough you break up with them. If their family knows or not is up for debate, but if the family knows the full story and they're still on his side pushing for a reunification, they're assholes too. It sucks to have to cut people off like that in your life that mean a lot to you and you've invested so much time in, but it's not worth your own safety, both mentally and physically, to bring someone back into your life, to have them forced back into your life if you don't want them there. He absolutely should know better, and he's not doing better, so he deserves to have been broken up with. And now, on to the updates. So it's been over 3 months since I posted, 4 since I broke up with my ex-fiancé. A lot has happened ever since. After the first month, I thought my ex had given up, but he tried hard to find me through all our contacts. Finally, one mutual friend told him where I was, and he showed up at my house. My stepdad threatened to call the police if he didn't leave, and he did, but told my stepdad that he wouldn't stop trying until he could talk to me. I wasn't home at the time, but I did choose to talk to him. I decided to call him and make things clear. I didn't think it was necessary, but I did think maybe he thought we still had a chance. So I called him and told him that we were done and that wouldn't change. And I didn't care what reasons he had to do what he did. I was clear about the situation with my bio dad, and he completely ignored my feelings and thoughts when it wasn't his business, and that someone like him, who thinks he's always right, is not someone to be trusted. Then I just cut the phone call. Some people in the comments kept asking why he would do this, and I think that's because of 2 reasons. The first one is that his mindset is that family's family, and no matter what, you need to always be there for them. As you can guess, I don't agree with that at all. I think family is the people you choose, and no person is worthy of being in your life just because they're your own blood. And I've thought like this for a while now, and it's helped me to get through everything. Also, he was the type of person who thinks the best thing is to forgive, to be okay with yourself, to be at peace. And well, that's bullshit for me. I don't think that's necessary at all, and I think that you can move on from something without forgiving anyone who screwed you over. Some people also thought that I needed to go to therapy to deal with this. The truth is that I went to therapy for a while for this and multiple other problems, and I'm at peace with it. I don't think about it, but I do know that I don't want him in my life, and that's my choice and nobody else's. Now, many people asked why I asked my ex to come pick me up, and the truth is pretty simple. I trust Lucas with my life, but besides that, he's tall and a boxer, and well, I knew that there were chances of everything going to shit and that things could get violent, or at least I was scared of it, and that's why I called Lucas. I once had another situation with another guy that I went out with for like a month. He got violent, and then I called Lucas to help me. Like I said in the post, we were friends before dating, and now it's kinda confusing. I'm not the kind to jump from one relationship to another, and that's why I avoided seeing Lucas personally, because I was starting to feel confused with my feelings towards him. I took my time to process the breakup, and 2 weeks ago, I met with him to talk and told him what was happening to me, and he said he was going through something similar, and we agreed to give it another shot. We're still seeing, but it's pretty clear to me that my feelings are even stronger than I thought. Anyways, hopefully this will be my first and last update, but you never know. I heard that my ex is still trying to contact me, but I'm just ignoring it for now. If things get messy, I'll see what I'll do then. In the comments, Dawn Shakar says, your ex may have had a lot of high-sounding reasons to do what he did, like family's always family and forgiveness is necessary for healing, but the fact is that he disrespected your feelings and tried to coerce you to act against your wishes. All his pretty phrases go down the drain before that fact. I hope you have a good life. Lucas and you seem to have good potential together. Take it slow, and I wish you well. Honestly, I despise this mindset, and it frequently manifests in this subreddit. Apparently, if you're not forgiving someone completely, inviting them into your life, and overlooking their still persistent flaws, you're not actually mentally well adjusted. Like, I don't understand the idea of achieving a mindset where your memories of a person don't cause you pain or rage. However, to me, the opposite to rage is not forgiveness, it's apathy. Arriving at a point where you're over it, but still don't want to interact with someone, is a valid method of dealing with grudges, and preferable to embracing the doormat lifestyle to prove to really no one that matters that you're the better person. I don't know. Forgiving can be cathartic, but that doesn't mean that you forget or even allow the person back into your life. It can be something like, I forgive my father for being an entirely selfish and self-serving cheater whose actions not only impacted him, but his wife and children's lives. Also, I forgive him for being such a terrible human being that he couldn't even be bothered to do the right thing and supply child support after he left. Furthermore, while I might forgive him, I will never forget or allow him to continue to try to harm me through his ongoing and many small and large hurts. Oh man, therapy is in session today. Christ. I hate it when people try to force you to accept an apology. I had ex-friends who insisted that I accept my ex's shitty apology after he spoke some unacceptable words to me. I was verbatim told that even if it was a shitty apology, he said sorry and I should accept it. They wanted to cosplay one happy family of sorts. The good thing is that they're my ex-friends now. My belief is that when I apologize, I'm making sure to give a genuine apology, so if I have to forgive, I'm only forgiving when I can genuinely forgive that person from my heart. And about the ex-friends, they have zero unity as a group. There is insane amounts of covert envy, hatred, and whatnot. I kid you not, my acne basically vanished once I stopped associating with them. I'ma just go back to what Dawn Shakar had said there. Your ex may have had a lot of high-sounding reasons to do what he did, like family's family, forgiveness isn't necessary, but yes, he did disrespect your feelings and try to coerce you against your wishes. Everything he's done, he knew better. He should have done better, he could have done better, but he didn't do better. And you're right, someone like him who thinks he's always right is not someone to be trusted. If you don't want to come back from this, then there is no coming back from a situation like this. Your ex-fiancé can run after you all he wants, OP, but nothing is going to change. You've reached apathy. Apathy is terrible for any relationship. Apathy is the death of relationships, and I hope that he realizes that there is no going back from this, and he learns not to do this in the future. And him being the type who thinks the best thing is to forgive, to be okay with yourself, to be at peace, he can have that mindset if he wants to, but he sees the consequences of his actions in real time when he applies that attitude to real life. Maybe if he finds someone with the same approach to life as he does, he can be happy, but he should know that OP was not that person. Anyway, thank you for sharing the story with us. I really appreciate that, OP. Our next post is by user ColdBrilliant4578, titled, "Am I the asshole here for buying my sister's dream house?" My wife and I, 27 female and 30 female, recently closed on our dream house, and it has the family torn. Years ago, my grandparents owned the family home, quote-unquote, but when they died unexpectedly with a lot of medical debt and expenses, our family had to sell their house. It was heartbreaking and sad, and I decided as a small child that one day I would buy the house back. I shared those dreams with my sister. I met my wife when I was 18 and she was 21. Her parents owned a small rental that they allowed her to live in rent-free, just paying for the expenses. She invited me to live there with her a year into our relationship, and we got married a year after that. I told her about my dreams of owning my grandparents' house, and she fully supported me. We began putting large amounts of money back for a down payment in the hopes that the house wouldn't go on the market before we could afford it. Because we didn't pay rent and both had good jobs for ages, and because of the economy that we lived in, we were able to put back a very, very large sum of money. My in-laws also offered up a sum of $75,000 for the down payment, and in total, we put back about $185,000. About 20 years after my grandparents passed away, their house finally went on the market at a massive price. The house itself is huge with 6 bedrooms, a large lakefront estate, and several features including a pool and small guest house. We knew that this house would have a huge price tag, and we skimped and budgeted for 9 years to afford my dream house. My sister was also house shopping at this time, but with a much smaller budget. Her and her husband have children, student debts, and rented for the past several years, and weren't able to put money back in the same way that my wife and I were. When our grandparents' house went on the market, I sent the link to my sister and said that we were finally getting our grandparents' home back in the family. She was very excited and said as much, and that was that. So, my wife and I moved forward, visiting with the owners and the real estate agents, having it inspected, and made an offer. They accepted, and we were absolutely over the moon. Throughout this whole process, my sister kept saying how excited she was to have the house back in the family and how nice it'd be for her children to know this house and grow up in it like her and I did. Our grandparents' house was the location of every birthday, holiday, gathering, and reunion, and my wife and I planned on making it that way again, which is why what my sister said didn't raise any red flags. Weird that she'd phrase it that way, but not concerning. We had a barbecue at my parents' house to celebrate the final closing of our house. During the dinner, my mother-in-law offered to kennel our dogs while we were in the stages of moving to keep things easier and them safe, and that was when my sister piped up. She asked why our dogs needed to be watched when the real issue was her kids. My wife asked what she meant, and she said that her kids will need more supervision than our dogs, and that she was confused as to why we'd be so busy that our dogs needed watching. I told her I was the one confused. I didn't know that she was helping us move, and that if her kids couldn't reliably be left to their own devices, then she absolutely did not need to help us pack. My sister proceeded to ask why my wife and I would be packing. I told her the obvious: we just closed on a house. For length reasons, I'll leave out a lot of the back and forth, but here's the gist of it. My sister had it in her head that we were buying the house to either A, rent to own it out to her family, or B, transfer the title to her name and have her pay us back in time. Yes, that is literally what she was thinking, despite us never discussing anything like that once. When I told her that wasn't happening, my sister threw a fit. She was pissed because this was her dream too, and that it wasn't fair that only one of us could live it, that since she had children, they deserved to grow up in the family home, and what did my wife and I even need all that space for? My wife told her that this isn't the family home anymore. It wasn't left in a will. We purchased it, and now it's our home, and we decide what we will do with it. My sister told my wife to shut up and that she had no say in this family discussion. I informed my sister that if she spoke to my wife that way again, that we would not be having any kind of contact with her anymore, that she doesn't get to assume that we're giving her a house, and then throwing a hissy fit when she's put in her place, and we left. My in-laws spoke to us on the matter a few times, but all told us that we were in the right and that my sister was very out of line. I assumed everyone would agree, but if they did, I wouldn't be on this thread. I got texts and voicemails from my parents saying that we were out of line for threatening my sister. They told me they were disappointed in me for taking my sister's dream from her and that I don't have kids, so I can't understand her want to provide them with a good home and childhood like she had. That it's only fair that we set up a way to give her the house and that we could afford to find something else. Even my more distant relatives have said that it was cruel of us to take that from her. I'm honestly super shocked and taken aback. I've seen stories similar to this on Reddit, entitled people thinking that they should get their relatives' houses, but I never expected to live it. This feels surreal, and I hate that we're starting this new chapter out on such a sour note. Am I the asshole here for buying my sister's dream house? In the comments, Everyday Gal says, not the asshole. Your sister is delusional and has made up a narrative in her head that she is owed or entitled to certain privileges. Your parents are crazy for reinforcing that narrative to her. Good on you for taking your wife's side and not standing for the disrespect. Of course not the asshole, but this does sound incredibly delusional on your sister's part. Protect your new life appropriately and put your entire family on an information diet. Congratulations on your new home. It sounds to me like any future barbecues and family gatherings should be with your wife's family, and your family should be excluded until they can understand how delusional they're being. The idea that your sister just assumed that you would buy her a lakefront home is irrational. I would seriously question her mental state if she actually believed that would be happening. And the parents thinking that she had the right? Lol? I doubt sister could even afford the payments for the mortgage. Back up to the post, there's an edit. Wow, this blew up in such a short amount of time. Thank you for your support, and if this continues to be interesting and not blow over, I'll definitely update. Yes, this unfortunately is a real situation, and in case anyone is curious, yes, the house is big and expensive, but it's severely outdated, which is why the size and features don't exactly match the price in today's housing market. Like, I don't think any owners after my grandparents renovated a single thing. Also, I'm a woman. Updates. I can't read and respond to all of these comments, but thank you. I'll continue to update, but since posting yesterday morning, not much has happened. I'll add a bit more of what's happened since the barbecue. I haven't responded to any messages my family have left. I honestly didn't think this was that big a deal, but after scrolling through the comments for a while with my wife, we're both taking this much more seriously. A security system isn't an option at this moment. The house needs too much work at the moment to have cameras and such set up. They'd just be in the way of everything else being done. We'd have to have them removed for several of the things that we need done, and we don't even have internet access at the property at this moment. I'll be scheduling meetings with some companies to start coming out and working on the property before we get to the cosmetics. However, we do have someone coming out to change the locks on Thursday. We won't be moving into the house for a bit since it needs so much work before we're comfortable. I've had a few people suggest the story's fake because the price of the house doesn't match the features. The house needs a lot of work. It hasn't been updated or worked on in years, and the price reflects that. Also, we're lucky to live in a state where property values haven't skyrocketed too bad. This is either a case of your parents not wanting to deal with her bullshit, so siding with her to keep the peace. That would be wrong. Or it's a case of he said, she said, and your sister has said a whole bunch of shit behind your back that is not true and has convinced the family that you're evil and you've conspired against her, and that everyone's like, oh my god, OP, how could you publicly embarrass your sister like that when you've talked about this? You know, how could you stab her in the back? You're evil, and now you're pretending like nothing happened. I can see that being a reality here as well. Like, you know, people lie. People are delusional, people are crazy. And I imagine it's hard when it's your own child and some big dream like this. It's one of those things where it sounds too good to be true, and you know, maybe it is. But at the same time, you're like, wow, what a good sister for doing that for her sister so that she can raise her kids in a childhood home. You're definitely not the asshole for how you approached this one, so, you know, I'll bestow that upon you, not the asshole. I'm really liking this one so far. And now, on to the updates. Thank you to everyone for being so supportive and offering advice. To those who suggested getting a security system in place, we're going to do that, but the house is not in a place where a security system can be installed. For the time being, we're looking into getting some battery-powered trail cameras as suggested by one Redditor. I can't find your comment in the sea anymore, but you know who you are. We don't have to worry about internet access, and they won't be in the way of renovations. We're restoring the house back to its original glory, pre-carpeted bathrooms and mismatched wallpaper. Besides fixing broken shit and upgrading old appliances, we'll be having the floors redone, paint, wallpaper, new windows, and opening up some walls that shouldn't be there. For the next 2 weeks, my wife and I will be meeting with people coming out to work on electricity, plumbing, and a few other things, and we do have a consultation with a home security company. Along with cameras, we're looking to get alarms and door codes and set up an access gate around the property. One of those that needs either a passcode or to be let in by someone in the house. We've already made an appointment to have the locks changed and are not concerned about my family trying to squat there. My in-laws have allowed us to park their camper trailer on the property while work is being done, not only for peace of mind, but to avoid commuting back and forth multiple times daily. For the actual update, I was hesitant to post this update since it's so soon after my original post, but I guess enough has happened for it to be useful information. The events at the barbecue took place last week, but I only got around to writing it all out yesterday. I sent a message to my parents and siblings yesterday evening, asking to meet up to talk things through and to try and figure out what's wrong and what exactly the hell is happening. Earlier today, my wife and I met my parents and my brother's family at his house before my sister arrived. I let them know that if they tried to interrupt or control the conversation, we would leave. I told them that I never once even suggested that my sister would be allowed to rent out the house or to buy it from us, that I didn't know where she got the idea from, and showed them the text strings where I first sent her the listing and every conversation where I updated her on the progress. My mom asked to see the rest of the conversations about the house, and I told her there were none. She informed me that my sister told them all that we had made an agreement that my wife and I would purchase it and then rent it out to my wife's family until they'd paid enough to buy it, that we would live in the guest house and they would get the main house. She told them that we had went back on our deal and had absolutely shattered her dreams of raising her kids in the house that she grew up in. We gave our side, and it wasn't difficult at all to convince my parents that we were telling the truth. With the lack of evidence on my sister's part and absolutely no legal documentation, my parents didn't even attempt to try and back up what she had told them. My parents were very apologetic and let us know that they never would have said those things to us had they known the truth, and that they supported us 100%. My brother was supportive of us all as well, but he was never the one of the people harassing us over this, so his reaction is less important. Around then, my sister and her husband showed up. My brother-in-law's a doormat and will give my sister whatever she wants, so I wasn't expecting much from him. I asked her to produce any of the necessary evidence to prove that I told her that we'd rent the house out to her, that her lie was ill-conceived, and that she better have a good explanation. She attempted to suggest that I had deleted the conversation, but when she couldn't produce said messages either, her story fell short. She started crying, saying it wasn't fair that we got everything handed to us, and that we didn't need a house this big, and that we were rubbing our wealth in her face. So to my understanding, she thought that she could trick everyone into bullying us into renting our house out to her, I guess. Like some kind of messed-in-the-head Scooby-Doo villain? Instead of using ghosts to scare us away, she's using a fake rental agreement that she didn't even attempt to make look or sound legit. We let her know that she had a lot of apologizing to do before we'd consider having a relationship with her moving forward, and that she wouldn't be welcome in our home for a long time. At the moment, our relationship with my parents is rocky at best for obvious reasons. They let us know that they're here to support us if we need moving assistance or help with renovations, but it'll take some good hard thinking to decide if we're okay with that. We will not be giving anyone in my family a spare key, but my wife's parents will receive one for emergencies. The house won't be in a state to host guests for a bit, so we're choosing to cross the "can my family be trusted at our home" bridge when we come to it. To answer some common questions I've noticed in the comments, my sister obviously has some loose screws, but my parents don't really coddle her. She's what you can consider the golden child and the baby, but honestly, most of her antics up until this point were just one-upping achievements during our childhood or seeking more attention from our parents. She's dramatic, entitled, and a little selfish, but has never displayed this level of crazy before. Yes, we will get a security system, but not for a bit. No, my family will not be trusted with a key. Yes, I am a woman. I know it's crazy. How can two women be married? Lol. My wife and I do not have kids and will not have them in the future. My sister has done some odd things, but nothing as absolutely absurd as this. We'll be meeting with an estate planner to put everything into writing. We plan on leaving the property to my sister-in-law and her kids, with my mother-in-law as the executor of our estate for the time being. My sister and her family rent a small house in the town. They aren't struggling per se, they are each college educated with good jobs, but children are expensive, and then adding in student debt and $2,000 a month in rent, and you aren't exactly living it up. Also, there's a surprising amount of people mad at my wife and I for being rich. We are not wealthy. My in-laws are comfortable and are generous enough to allow us to occupy their rental at no charge. They bought a new house decades ago and just didn't sell their previous one, so they allowed my wife to live there. The down payment was my wife's college fund from years ago. Her parents put money in it, but when she decided to go into a trade, they kept the money and saved it specifically for the purpose of a down payment. When we told them that the house was up for sale finally, they offered the college fund that they had kept for her. We work good-paying jobs, but were able to save so much because we didn't have to pay $2,000 a month for housing. We did skimp and save, and we did damn well earn it. We lived below our means and spent years foregoing any kind of luxuries to afford something we wanted. So yeah, not as drama-filled as a lot of people were expecting or hoping. I don't see this as the end of it. Not at all. But for the time being, my wife and I are focusing on dealing with our new house, and not my sister. She's blocked on both phones as of this morning, and I'm not sure when I plan on unblocking her. Edit to add some more information, we're leaving the house to my sister-in-law and her kids because my sister is the only close family member on my side with children. Neither I nor my brother have kids. I have cousins with children, but we're not close. Not nearly as close as we are to my sister-in-law and her children. We aren't leaving it to my brother because he's in the same generation as us, and hopefully we won't precede him in death by decades like we will likely with my sister-in-law's kids. A lot of people were upset or confused by this because I wanted the house back in the family. My wife's relatives are my family too, you know. Our relationship with my parents at the moment is rocky because despite the fact that they apologized and support us, they still took my sister's side immediately with zero evidence to her claims. I figured that was obvious, but a surprising amount of people are saying they don't deserve that. I do plan on posting pictures and renovation updates of the house, but not for a bit, because the sale is so recent that it's still floating around in some of the real estate websites and apps, and since the address is on those listings, it's not safe at the moment. And when I said pre-carpeted bathrooms, I meant the era before they carpeted them. We're restoring it to before the 80s that everything in the house seemed to be stuck in. In the comments, Fries with Shake Booty says, No, this was plenty of drama. A lot of it could have been avoided if more parents were like mine. Mine would have said at the start, what's going on? Your sister said you were letting her rent to own from you? Did she misunderstand? Did you misspeak? And look, maybe it's mean, but I don't think getting back the family home was a priority to the sister. She and her husband would have lived frugally, perhaps delayed having a family so they could save up, but instead, it sounds like sis had the mentality akin to, if I ever win the lottery. It's a type of magical thinking. It's not just if I ever win the lottery, it's when I win the lottery. My life will be so great, because as long as you believe you have this Deus Ex Machina in your future, you don't actually have to take the steps towards making your life better. My ex engaged in this kind of magical thinking in subtle ways, that some kind of good or beneficial thing would occur, effectively as random good luck, to solve a problem or improve aspects of his life, and therefore he didn't have to take any actions to solve his problems or improve his life. And there's a healthy dose of entitlement that goes with this thinking, that they are special or exempt or do not need to put in the same effort as others. It's a really weird thing to try and unpack with someone, that you cannot make life decisions based on your belief that chance will favor you. It's insane to me that people continue to operate on that delusion in day-to-day life, but, maybe that helps us get through the day, I will not be operating on the delusion of I'm just a temporarily embarrassed millionaire. If you want to get to a place that OP and their wife got to, that requires so much luck and it requires so many sacrifices and dedication, but, at the same time, so much luck. Having a free rent for 9 years is an insane amount of luck to get yourself into. It is so hard to work your way into that same position because you're behind 9 years of rent. Congrats to you, OP, for being in that position. I am forever envious of you, and I hope you have a good life without too much finagling from your in-laws and sister. Thank you for the story. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for you today. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!